Hey guys, welcome back to Disco Elysium. Where did we leave off? Ah yes. I believe I just had a theory. I could be wrong on this. Someone since been in touch since and offered up someone else who we've already met who could potentially match the description of this lady driver that we're looking for. But like I say, I have a theory, and we're going to go back in here. So we're looking for someone obsessed with film. We're looking for someone who who's a driver, and also I'm hoping he lets us go. We're allowed to go back up here. Okay, cool. So I would just. It's mainly the film angle that made me consider that the first person that we talked to in this game is it this store? I think it was this store. Looked like something out of a 1950s, 1960s Hollywood. So let's knock. There's no answer. Hear the shower being turned on somewhere inside. Knock again. Still no answer. This could be important. Let's knock again, but harder. Still nothing. Lieutenant gives you a quick glance. Let's try the handle. This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside. Ugh. Damn it. You should pick up that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke. No, I think not. Can we go back in the room? Oh, there's something playing as well, but we can't. I think we need to give the guy the money, but yeah, I'm thinking that the driver that we're looking for is actually this lady that we met who was on the balcony when we first arrived. It's not going to give us any other options, is it? Let's try again. Still nothing. Okay. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I could be wrong, but yeah, who knows? Okay. Is there anyone else we can talk to in here that we haven't? I don't think so. But it did say that we can go back to, what's her name now? The rather well-to-do lady who was in the boat, or the yacht, or the whatever type of sailing vessel that may be. So let's do that. And also it's past 9 o'clock, so we might be able to also see the guy that we were looking for in the apartment blocks as well. I'd be interested to know if she's still on her boat at this hour.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
Yeah, I think we've asked her all those questions.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
You seem rich, can I have some money? Okay, spoke with the lorryman. Okay, oh, we leveled up, nice. Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? We have discovered enough to conclude for now. Oh, wait, where exactly are these eyes located? Yeah, let's go for that. Yes, and will you start an official investigation? If there is an investigation, it would be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I'm sure you understand. Of course, detectives, she says, her tone more cautious suddenly. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands. The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. A taste of iron and strawberries. Strawberries I can get on board with. Iron, not so much. What was that about a bloodbath? Tell me again how the lynching strike connected. Oh, that's enough for now. So, what was that about a bloodbath? Yes, I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Revacol West. Since you're chatting, ma'am, this is also the... Oh, sorry. Since you're sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario. Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. So tell me again, how are the lynching and the strike connected? I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. A momentary lapse of faith? They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer. Every worker. A member of the board, she nods. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric or a joke. They did not appreciate the humour. So, do you need a security detail? Absolutely not. The mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering. And who are they exactly? Krenel, an RNG's military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armour, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment. Ceramic armour, you say? Interesting. So what happened? The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in... I thought it was the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling in ranks anyway, and lynched last Sunday night. What then? Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Krenel contractors carry out their orders, for now. For now? It's a smokescreen. In secret they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow. What is the nature of this so-called investigation? Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants. Made a mess here. I have to say this is not disco. Maybe the investigations can team up, you know, share resources and intelligence. And oh boy, that is not good. You've got to say it, and yeah, I have to say this is not disco. It's very far from disco. A wave crashes against the side of her boat. My only hope is that you provide a single concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, she grabs hold of the mainsail. If you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This, in turn, will force the Union to respond. The debardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1. Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? She leans back. It's not pretty. The Ceres, giant hornet, the world's second largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours. Interesting. These men work in tandem, using semi and fully automatic firearms. Their armour is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. The muzzle loaders need to be reloaded after every 1 or 2 shots. The automatics every 1 or 2 minutes. She's silent for a moment, then concludes, "As I said, a bloodbath. I can't see it happen. Too many things would have to go wrong first. Isn't this a pretty bleak scenario describing? I think let's go for bleak. Many bleak scenarios have already come true." She looks at you, eyes damp from the wind. "Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia." "All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation." I'm almost thinking, like, what would she have to gain from the lynching? It means she's got a much clearer motive, or maybe much clearer authority to be able to push her agenda against the unit. But anyway, so what can you tell me about Krenel? You said the deceased assaulted woman. This colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know him? Where are the remaining 2 mercenaries? How much time do we have? That's a possible lead there, isn't there? So, oh, he didn't. She tilts her head. "This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it." Who did the passing on then? What did these teenagers by the canal say? That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez. The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration. "Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place and when?" "Last Sunday night at the Whirling in Rags." Yeah, I knew it was Whirling in Rags. At the hostel by the gates. Supposedly the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Breakthrough imminent. Okay. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. And who was this woman? That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumour about a rumour. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. Okay. So what can you tell me about Krenel? Not much. Their public resume is relatively good. As far as private military contractors go, I believe they were once called Downwell. Was there something on that? Was something on that buzzer for Downwell? Maybe. They boast a long list of clients: Saint Batista, Welchman Lawrence, Endracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries, guarding facilities, escort missions and such. Meaning they're used to operating in war zones. Yes, all the good conflict corridors. Supramundi, Yisut, the Seminoles Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Okay, anything else you got on them? Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources, she thinks. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time though, she thinks. The International Collaboration Police is charged with coordinating law enforcement activities in complex multinational investigations. The database is the single largest source of information in the world. Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am? In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I would be dealing with a group like Krenel. Could you contact the company? Tell them to call them off? I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can. This colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know him? If you mean, did I see him alive? Yes, but I did not know him. His name was? Lely. His service name, nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. Tell me about the others first. One is a man, Corey they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis de Paula. Carty is the gunner, I believe. DePaula is a radio operator. The lieutenant cuts in. What would you say was his eye colour, the deceased's? She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head. I can't remember. There's a pang of regret to her voice. The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed. That's alright, ma'am. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age? He was 40 or 50? It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age or gauge his facial expressions. Indeed, this matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body, he says to you, then turns back to Joyce. What else? Nationality? Accent? He was Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, mixed accent. Orange eyes or Messinian, maybe? His injury gave him an accent all his own. And that seems to corroborate the ethnicity we gave. Kim is pedantically happy about it. Where are the remaining two mercs now? Did we also ask... yeah, I think we did. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. She puts her foot on the guard wire for balance. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revocol citizens militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes, ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. We still need to know where they are. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved. Okay. Yeah, high chance, let's do it. One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers. Vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. One must be the goon in ill-fitting work clothes by the harbour gates, scab leader. That may be so. She is poised and unperturbed. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest. For all your talk of averting the catastrophe, the situation at the gates is a powder keg. Does this not bother you? Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant, but my hands are tied. How would my employer react if I appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union? Your concern may be appearances, ours is keeping the peace. One is probably in a building overlooking the roundabout. That would afford a good vantage point, she says. In any case, it's practically inaccessible. Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece? Heavens no, I'm not an undercover agent. There's a shortwave at the ship's wheel. She nods towards the sloop's cabin. I have another question for you. How much time do we have? Until the execution start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob and their impatience. They don't report their progress to you? Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. There is a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay. It's a matter of days, not weeks. That's enough for now. Now can you tell me about these tattoos? Of course, excuse my hesitation before. She reaches over the guard wire and takes the photo, holds it in her hand. For about half a minute, in silence. She wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman. It is taken with a trigger not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs. Stay quiet, observe the woman's expression. Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. What do you think? Sorry, she breaks her concentration. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points, the stars. She points to one on the photo paper. I can't, but that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers or anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Like stars in the sky. Close, she nods. Port cities. This is an Orangeese... No, I'll pronounce that. This is an Orangeese map of the waterways. A sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the DeLorean century over 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. So, what is the use of this map? The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by the silver cord, they would call it. What travels did the dead man make? Quite a few. Vredefort, the Orange's capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. She points to it on the photo. He started somewhere near here, I think. What next? Then he made his way to the Preto Grande, through what I think must be Stad's Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Preto he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean. First the Seminoese Islands, then this. She points to his heart. What is that? Revocol, she says. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder and Revocol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinda, at the dawn of the Intersolar Age. The old word passing by and the new world already here. You said you can't read it. I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning. Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy. The Seminoese Islands saw recent conflict. In Revocol he was executed. Maybe it's a record of his military career. That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident, mercenary tattoos. For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas. Who could tell me more? His platoon members, the other contractors, though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade. Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere. I need the information. Mark it down. Ask Mercs about the tattoos. You're right, it's not a good idea to leave off the schedule. I think it'd certainly help. Do what you have to do, detective. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security, but if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you. We will be careful, ma'am. That's all for the tattoos. Thank you for your help. Seems smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality ring. No, let's not do that. You seem rich. Can I have some money? As funny as that is, let's not do that either. Okay, that's all for now. I think we might have got 2 upgrade points, so I think we should do at least 1 into getting a new slot, because we've got all these different thoughts. So let's unlock that. So what have we got? We've got Ace is low, which gives us 2 empathy towards Kim. We've got Learn Some Long Way Home, which gives us +1 encyclopedia, which we don't really need. We've got loads of encyclopedia. But then again, this is to find out about us, so I'm quite interested in that. Coach physical instrument. -2 encyclopedia. Trying to get some detective work done with something. I think we do, even though that's +1 or something, they've already got quite a lot of skills. I want to find out about our history, so let's do that. Okay, and then I think we should use the other one to level something up. I think putting an extra one in an encyclopedia there was probably a mistake. Tempted to put some stuff into some bits that we've got like next to nothing, but then I think we do need some physical instrument actually, so let's level out. Okay, cool. Right, so we need to speak to
We should
Kim.
think about calling it today, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year.
Yeah, I haven't paid the cafeteria manager. You should take care of that then. But I don't have the money. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out. Nice. So, hopefully then, that just means we will be able to go back and get some sleep. I'm curious. I wonder if when we decide to sleep, I wonder if that will be his cue to go off on another drunken rage or drunken you know. Interesting. Anyway. Please, sir, can I have a room? I'm also curious about when you do go to sleep. I wonder if there's more conversation with your own kind of subconscious type thing that's going to happen.
Can I help you?
Does that arrangement include you pay me what we already agreed you owe me? Kim is about to say something, let him. He adjusts his glasses. I understand your predicament as the manager, however, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business. Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking and he stops mid-sentence. I mean no offence, it's really nothing personal, I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Hold on, I still have my key, you know. Good luck trying to use it. He taps his foot against a metal box installed in the back of the counter. Draconian measures. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will unlock it. This conversation isn't going anywhere, is it? Not until you bring me the money. Okay, he turns to you with a heavy sigh. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here. Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. Okay. Oh, is Kim gonna loan us the money? What a ledge. What a G. Kitsuragi of kindness. Inside you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge. I have something here we could sell. Look in the back in the suspect transport enclosure. Transport enclosure, regular people just call it the cage. Okay. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark. I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. What are those things? They're spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, he makes a spinning motion with his hands. The caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them. It's just for vanity. Thanks, I appreciate your help. Okay. Let's go to the pawn shop. I hope we get slightly more than 100 so we can pay for more than tonight. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. With the guy who's like spaced out. Hey bro.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
There's something I'd like to sell. Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps. Lieutenant steps in and hands him the spinners. Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop. He marvels at the cobalt shimmer and nods. Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mess hanger? Mess banger? No matter, I'll give you 200 real. No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you, the lieutenant explains as the pawnbroker opens the register and counts the cash. Of course, I meant no offence. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again. Thank you, he takes the cash and then turns to you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it. The rest goes in his pocket. The rest is for him to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Both the lieutenant and the pawnbroker turn to you. Fascinating photo of a corpse. I'll check my pockets. Oh no, I don't want to sell a kind green 8 pen. Empty cassette case. Get 50 for it. No, I don't want to sell any of that. No. Okay. Oh, do you know anything about the traffic menace on the list? I don't think we had that
Hello,
last time.
hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. But didn't you hear it when the traffic menace drove over your roof? Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex hitting the shop and then moving on. That sure narrows down our list of suspects. A vortex sounds fascinating. Yeah, it was pretty wild. I don't really know what to make of it, but I know it meant something. Let's try the other option. Does that mean you don't have any idea who the driver was? Shakes his head slowly. Okay. Well, at least we can go get some sleep. Earthquake, you say?
Can I help you?
So about that money I owe. I have your money. Here it is, sorry for the trouble. Great, thank you officer, that's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask it that you please pay your nightly bill in advance, starting tomorrow. He takes out his keychain and fiddles with the mechanism behind the counter. The electronic lock to your room has been disabled until 9 o'clock tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow, 20 real per night. He opens his wallet. I'll take a room here too. Of course, he takes the money and hands him a keyring. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Nah. No, there is not. Okay. I've got a feeling we'll be picking up a lot of bottles. Now can we speak to this lady? No, that's not what I meant to do. No, we cannot. Good night, Lieutenant.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
Oh, this is getting so cop show. Debriefing with Kitsuragi. The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum, then...
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM?
I didn't know you smoked, Kim. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual. Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette. I think I might want to pick up smoking. Do you have any more? How did you get so cool, Kim? The light of his cigarette illuminates a fleeting smile. You mean this? He flicks the ash. This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will, and unhealthy. Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit. Yet were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit below it all. Okay, right then. How do you think today went? Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection was also very thorough, and we've already started following up on leads. Then you shot the body down, which was, he pauses, searching for the right word, quite the shot. Damn straight I'm a sharpshooting cop. On this occasion I must agree. At any rate, your shot enabled us to perform a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. I still feel like we missed something, but maybe the boys in processing will surprise us. We still have work to do at the crime scene. Now, as for interviews, my list of people to talk to here in Martinez, he takes a deep drag and looks at the city. It's my forte, the initial interviews. Okay, and unlike most cops, I understand how important communication is in our line of work. Very important indeed. Well, we conducted an interview with Everett Clare. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. He's not saying much on the matter because he thinks you could have gotten more out of Everett. I'm sure I can get him to tell us more. Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name. That's a relief. Big relief. It's a very serviceable name too. Moving on. We interviewed Joyce Messier, the Wild Pines rep, and learned a lot. None of it very good news for us, or Martinez, but he gives you a quick nod of acknowledgement and approval. Above all though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that standard Precinct 41 practice? Well, I didn't find out about running for a long time, but then by the time I did, I need to run everywhere. I have really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just wait until we get up tomorrow. I don't like to waste time. I'm training for long distance run. Yeah, that's how we roll in Precinct 41. I don't know why I do the things I do, Lieutenant Craig. He nods thoughtfully, tapping his finger on his cigarette. It's impressive, especially for a man your age and in those heels. He looks at your snakeskin shoes and smiles suddenly. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange. So what are our powers exactly, the RCM? They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revocol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offences in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. 1,000, why not more? Wouldn't that be an easy power to abuse? Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. He frowns. He undermines trust in the RCM. Okay, what else? We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. Wait, how can you be sure the arrestee will show up? You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. I see, and if someone resists, we are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. Have you ever killed anyone, Kim? Yes, he pauses. The last time was 4 years ago. He has internalized it well. It's just that, a fact, a self-contained past event. Have I killed anyone? That's an improbability, perhaps even impossibility. I don't know if I really want to know. Precinct 41 is known for a higher than average rate of police violence. So what happens to the people we convict? We don't convict, we arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Curon and La Della. The prosecution works off our testimonies. and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. He taps on his coat pocket, where he keeps his notes. Wait, so if I kill someone while on duty, you have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It's hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. And who makes all these rules? The coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order, no more, no less. His gaze is absently fixed on a window below that just went dark. Or perhaps it is better to say that we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revocol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Say nothing. Silence, a great comment to such a conundrum. The Moral Intern, what is it? The Moralist International are the world's largest political organisation. He pulls on his cigarette. You know who they are? They run this place after the revolution failed. If I didn't know, how would you describe them? They're a union of centre-left and centre-right parties across the rail belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organisations in the world. What do they believe in? What do they believe in? They are DeLoreans. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they're just technocrats. Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day. Okay. What's their symbol? Interesting question. It's blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge that they want you to what they want you to think of them from that. Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner. Something like the dark blue, serious colour of the early night sky above. Who was Dolores Day? A historic figure? The author of the modern age, he thinks. You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. What do you think of them? The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And he looks at the city below. It doesn't look like that's about to happen. I have an opinion on the moral intern, do I? Do you? Do you? The lieutenant arches his brow, then pulls on his cigarette. It's a slim white thing in his fingers. Things are bad out there. We need them here. They've done an awful job here. Have you seen this place? We are stooges of the world's biggest bourgeoisie organisation. Immigrants, liberals. Oh my days. On second thought, I don't have an opinion. Forget about it. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, no matter how bad stuff gets, it's always better to have some form of organisation, some form of checks held on the random nature of human behaviour, because although that's what makes life special, human nature in itself just like if completely unchecked just it goes to extremes. You see this in little bubbles in like I could go off on one here, but let's not. It's like but anyway, so things are bad out there. It's good to have them here. In fact, we would need them even if you didn't think that way. We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI, or yeah, MI I think. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Yeah, vigilantes sounds bad. He nods sadly. It is what we already are to the people of Martinez. Most of them at least, especially the Union, vigilantes. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging. He looks at the roundabout. Say nothing, just look into the night. The dying lights of the city shimmer below slowly, like luminous clouds they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at him, his slim cigarette contemplating the next drag. An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below, Kitsuragi's glasses light up as he looks to the sky, 2 glowing circles. Finally, he pulls on the cigarette and says they really don't like us here, and the mouth on that kid Kuno is different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. Why are they like this? It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our 2 precincts, and in Jamrock and the GRIH. He looks at the dark silhouette of the equestrian monument cutting into the night sky and says, "We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are," he shakes his head, "but we are in control, and it's worth it. The organisation works. Our systems work. If they didn't, this city would disintegrate. I hope our investigation will help improve the situation here, at least do some good." "Me too," he says quietly, "but I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes." He's very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older. "Thank you for this." "Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go." He puts out the stub of his cigarette and looks to the door. The smell of the sea makes you dizzy. Okay. Okay. Yep, see you in the morning, man. Can we close that door? I don't want to be, yeah, thank you. So, what's going on in the old room? Ah, is there a tie on there that we can take off, potentially? Is that the bed? Lol. Ceiling fan. The fan has 2 chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other end is a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades. We don't have much chance of this, but let's try it. Hey! You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. It's released from the blade. What you have in your hand is a truly hideous necktie with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose. Interesting. Pull on the light bulb. The lights are on. Ah, pull on the light bulb. Lights are off. Cool. Oh, didn't mean to go in there. It's the mirror again. Dig deep into your mind to locate the source of the expression. Attempt to stop the expression from happening. Okay, let's do the one that we can do. It belongs in the new, the 3rd decade of this current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened. Forget about ostentatious orchestrations. For Revocol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume Lamillia. If it doesn't rhyme, you're not pronouncing it right. Guillaume Lamillia. Okay. Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open-air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revocol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit, and then he made the expression. So I adopted it. Why? I feel I need to add a clicking sound when I make it. How long ago was the new? Anything else like who I am? Why did I become a cop? Why did I drink myself into oblivion? Does this have anything to do with ostentatious orchestrations? I guess that's it then. You have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you've picked up along the way. Episodic memory, however, remains in the dark. It may never return. You should prepare yourself for that. So I adopted it. Why? Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains. I feel a need to add a clicking sound when I make it. Click, click. The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume Lamillian's regional mega hit, Don't Worry, You Pretty Little Head. Sometimes you like to add finger pistols to the mix because unlike Guillaume Lemillion, you're a police officer. It's your nifty little way to say I'm armed and dangerous. How long ago was the new? There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression, looking good on you or anyone. 2 decades if the calendar is to be trusted. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now, the expression is a relic. Does this have anything to do with ostentatious orchestrations? Not really. Ostentatious orchestrations must have just stirred your mind. They're more like a disco rock band anyway. I guess that's it then. Let the mirror be for now. Why is there is that a door to Kiragi's? Interesting. Right, I suppose we go to bed. If you can call this thing bed. Bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The option to go to sleep becomes available every night after 9 o'clock. Yeah, crawl in. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come. But I want to sleep. Obviously you're in bed with your eyes closed, but it's not happening. Why? Maybe it's the bed's fault? Roll over to the other side. It's a little better. Colours, scenes and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you still trying to solve the case, isn't it? Who killed him? Who? No more thoughts. Fall asleep now. Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming. Oh, this is cool. Is that us?
Do you remember the scent of your childhood?
Oh, it's Mike from 6th. It is actually Mike from 6th. I was thinking it sounded like the guy from 6th, and I was speaking to my mate, and he said, yeah, that's totally Mike from 6th. That's like the thing I know about that game. I was like, what? It's insane. But yeah, flipping heck, it's awesome. Mike from 6th, hooray! If you've never heard the band 6th, English band, play really wacky, heavy, crazy metal, and it's amazing. I can recommend Hold My Finger is a right track, and what else? I mean that the first 2 albums that were released, pretty much amazing start to finish. And they do these spoken word tracks where Mike speaks in this kind of a voice, and I was like, whoa, that sounds like Mike. That sounds like 6th in the first step, wasn't it? And it is. But anyway, so he says, do you remember the scent of your childhood? I remember nothing.
Do you remember your wife's hand on your face?
Tell me what this is. I'm not answering you. I was left, or I left. You said who?
Do you remember the warmth of her thighs, between her legs and in her mouth?
Well, I don't know. But I don't want to say that either. If it's me personally, it's more likely that is
That's
the option.
right, funky baby. And you just stood there. One hand on the bottle and the other on your dick. Watching her go. Let it all be dragged away from you. Tell me, Where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours? No, it's gone. 3 times gone and never coming back. You failed. You failed me. You failed Elysium.
What is Elysium?
Everything. The Pale and the Isolas on the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people, and you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up. No, you haven't. You're just sleep-talking, and the act is wearing thin, too. The spots on the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time, sweating up the bed.
Stinky boy.
You're not coming back from shit. Thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours, bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding? You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
Something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad. This dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy. And it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork. Barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Epic. Fucking epic. Good going, buddy. Oh my god, what the hell was that? Oh, just a dream. You have ones like that all the time. Feel even worse this morning than you did last night. The hell is going on with me? You mean, why is so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detective needs to be able to think. Why is this happening? It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. No, I can take this. I'm not going to go looking for speed. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks, maybe 3? You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You'll be fired. It's a lie. I can do this without the speed. Half the town won't be dead. Suit yourself, slow, sad shell, man. See how you do without your spark. Get the feeling that's going to have some gameplay implications. But wow, interesting. We got to hear from our good friend Mike at 6th, being our maybe our subconscious, representing all the things that are going on in his head, and lots to think about. So I think we'll leave that there for today, and yeah, wow, I let that mull that over for a while, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Alright, thanks again for joining us. See you in a bit. Bye.